One of the things that really impressed me when arriving in Japan was the use of gardens and greenery at all kinds of establishments. Even with limited space, small trees and plants can be seen everywhere. The work takes place at a doctor's clinic outside of Miyoshi City. The clinic has several garden areas around the car park, in front of the building, and behind. Also, there are 2 private gardens in the front and rear of the owner's private residence. We visit the establishment several times a year to prune the trees in both the private and public areas. One of my favorite Japanese maples to prune is featured at the rear of the car park. Behind the clinic and at the entrance to the private garden, there are even more trees and bushes. As you can see here, there's also quite a bit of empty space. We had just removed some old weed-proof sheets and fake grass from this area. The customer wanted to separate the approach from the garden beds. There was also no definitive edge between walking spaces and the garden. Her choice was to use mountain stones. These are perfect for garden borders. When using stones or boulders as a border, and the line is straight because of a wall or a road, it makes sense to put the face of the rock against the line you are working along. Even when curving the border, it's tempting to face the stones along the curve. However, this often looks forced and unnatural, especially in a Japanese-style garden. Try pivoting the rocks around so that the outside edges are jutting out, and stagger the stones to create more depth. This will give you a more natural riverbed look. In a Western garden, it is common to try and keep all the stones at the same level. But again, for a more natural look, vary the height between the stones and bury the base below ground level. It is important to have the edges of each stone sloping downward or out from the top. The soil level should conceal where the rock curves back in on itself. This creates the illusion that the stone has been there for a long time rather than just placed. Another trick is when the stones have a flat top, to keep it level with the horizon. More stones were delivered to the site. The larger ones we had to move with some machinery. good to have more stones than you need and to have a variety of sizes to choose from. Once this path was laid out, it was time to lock them into place. Often larger rocks are used as the first and last stone along the border. Also, if there is a sharp curve in the line, a big boulder can add accent to the curve. Now the stones are cemented into place, new soil was used to fill in and around the border. Next, I moved to the front private garden to do the same. Before, the gravel of the path went under the azaleas and sometimes washed away in heavy rain. The border now contained the gravel and a natural edge to the garden. At the end of the job, I always like to hose down the work area. Not only does it clean up the area, but stones look amazing when they are wet. At the gate to the private residence, I used the straight line method and more flatter stones. Applying the finishing touches to the garden behind the clinic, we brought in a lot of bark mulch. We planted a few more shrubs in the empty spaces at no extra cost. The final result, a quite natural and clear garden border. In the next episode, I want to show you my own house in the mountains and the garden I've been making for 7 years. Most of the trees were young when they were planted and are finally now providing some shade. Since I have dozens of projects on the go, this will be another chapter in a series of videos to look forward to. Please subscribe to keep up to date with my adventures in Japan. But for now,
さようなら。